Hello everyone and welcome to today's lesson. It will be a video lesson as each of you will be speaking to me individually to do your corrections tests. When you come and see me, please bring with you your copybook so I can look at your corrections. Our new chapter is about a prison break from the prison Pretoria in South Africa. Your intermediate task will be to summarise a video extract, so a listening comprehension, and for the final task you will create an interview in 2s or 3s. The protagonist of our chapter is a man called Tim Jenkin. If you were here yesterday, you can skip forward directly to the slide with the logo of the ANC on it, or of course you can continue if you would like a little recap. Remember, you can always pause me or remind me if there's anything you don't understand. Last week we saw some information about Tim Jenkin and his early life using these keywords and figures. So to remind you, Tim Jenkin was born in 1948 in Cape Town, South Africa, and he travelled to England when he was 22 to work in a factory. This experience very much surprised him and shocked him, and it created an interest in sociology. Tim wrote a book called Escape from Pretoria in 1987. If you are interested in looking at the book, it is available free online. I can also put a link on Pronote. Last week we were studying an extract from the book. You had to match the underlined words in the text with the list of words in the table. If you've not finished that, please do it now. The second task at the bottom is to answer 4 questions. Equally, if you've not done that, do pause the video and do it, and then the next 2-3 slides will be the answers to these things. Here are the answers to the word matching activity. For the questions, Tim hesitated to accept the job because in South Africa, at the time, it was only black people that worked in factory. The work was hard because of the dirt and dust from the fiberglass that the factory was producing. He found it particularly unfair that the managers had a very comfortable working environment with air-conditioned offices, whereas those working on the factory floor had a very different experience. That was unpleasant. He started reading books about a variety of subjects. These books were banned in South Africa. So Tim spent some time in England, but then he came back to South Africa to study. He returned to South Africa in 1970 and he went to university to study sociology. This is where he met a friend in his class, Stephen Lee. Here are Tim and Stephen as students in the 70s. Tim and Stephen formed a friendship because they both had very similar ideas about what they wanted for South Africa. They were very aware that South African society at that time was not fair, and they were against apartheid. I'd like you now to watch this video that we will find a link to on Pronote, which explains apartheid in more detail. Some of you may have already studied apartheid or have some idea about it. This will be a recap in that instance. It's only a short video, 3 minutes. So pause this and please look at the video. So, from your understanding of the video, in your copybooks, could you write the title Apartheid? Could be good to note down as well the etymology of the word, the origin of the word. It comes from Afrikaans, one of the 12 official languages of South Africa, and literally means separateness. The pronunciation of apartheid for Brits is apartheid. We don't pronounce the th. Americans would say apartheid. You can use either, of course. South Africans themselves also say apartheid. Here are some pointers for what you could write down, including the dates between which apartheid existed and exactly what it meant. So please write some notes in your copybook. Yesterday in class we did a game of taboo. Here's an example of a taboo card. The objective of the game is to explain the word in bold, the top word, to somebody else by not using any words on the card. For example, child, you could say a child is a small person. If you are sitting with someone who was also absent yesterday, you can go on Pronote. If you look in the homework section from yesterday, you have taboo A and taboo B. Decide who is A and decide who is B. Open up the cards and then take turns to explain a word to your partner. I should tell you that the A cards are probably slightly easier, and if you want to make the game more challenging, you can only use descriptions that are linked to our chapter. Tim and Stephen, the friends at university, wanted to act. They wanted to help change South African society, which they found very unfair, in particular the apartheid regime. So they joined a political party called the ANC. Here is some information about the ANC. I've given you parts of sentences and figures. With a neighbour or alone, try to piece together the information and write some sentences about exactly what the ANC is. You're now going to listen to an audio. This audio is a spoken version of the book Escape from Pretoria. It's an extract read by an American. Listen to the extract as many times as you want and then answer the 4 questions in your copybook. Now, you've got some information about Tim's background. I'd like you to decide and write the answer in your copybook so you can compare it with the reality after. How did Tim end up in prison? Clearly you know he went to prison because the theme of the chapter is about escaping from a prison. Decide which of these 5 reasons corresponds to the reality. Did Tim marry a white South African who gave him up to the authorities? Did Stephen and Tim cause a huge fire? Did Stephen give up Tim to the authorities? Did Tim and Stephen make leaflet bombs, which the police discovered? Or did Tim get sent to prison for something completely different, like a driving offence in London? You now have a second extract from the book to listen to and 3 questions to answer. You will now watch a video from a documentary about Escape from Pretoria. This is the video I showed you in the very first chapter. Watch the extract and all will be revealed. You will see why Tim and Stephen both went to prison. So make sure you've written down your answer before watching the video. Once you've seen the video, come back and make a paragraph answering the following questions. Your final activity today is a crossword on vocabulary and concepts seen in the past 2 lessons. You can find a copy on the desk at the front of the room. Bye for now.